Hello again, everyone. This is Ramblin' Randy, and it sure is amazing what you get into when you're in the flow of the river. Just today, I discovered a conference that's taking place up in Utah. It happens on the 8th and 9th of this month. Today's the 6th. I'm into action. I'm doing my part to learn as much as I can to be able to pass that knowledge on freely to other people. If they see my value and recognize it and they're part of our community, that content and my efforts will sustain me and beyond. This is G. Edward Griffin. He wrote the Creature from Jekyll Island, where the Federal Reserve was started. He'll be speaking in at the Red Pill Expo in Mesquite, Utah. I'm packing up the car and headed that way now. I'm into action. I love this country. We have 1 year. Just take a listen to what what G. Edward Griffin has to say. Listen up just briefly.
Thank you, Dan. I'm flooded with mixed emotions sitting down there listening to what's going on. I don't think I've ever had this kind of an audience before. And I've had a lot of audiences in my years crusading. But this group is absolutely different. It's different because basically you appear to be a politically oriented group. But you're not. You're based on principle. And that is unusual for me to see. I mean, I don't care whether it's Republican or Democrat. Most politically oriented groups are all about, winning the election. Winning the election. What do we do to win? That's all. Win what? Well, it doesn't make a difference. Just get our guy in. And I don't see any of that here. And I'm so impressed and I'm humbled. And I'm honored that you think enough of my work and what I've done to invite me to speak before you tonight. I thank you for that. What I'm going to do is give a little brief summary of what I think I know about the Fed and what's important to you folks. And then I'm going to take that hat off and put on my ideology hat, and I'm going to talk to you about something called Idea X. So without any further wasting of time, let's jump right into it. How can you summarize something like the Federal Reserve System into a short summary? And it's easy, you just start with the basics. And you can usually condense the most complex ideas down to just a few words. And I could say, for instance, that the Federal Reserve System is a scam, and I'm through. I'm done. I've delivered my speech. Any questions, Well, that's not quite good enough for most people. Well, why is it a scam? Well, it's a scam because it pretends to be something that it is not. And it's pretending to be a government agency that was formed for the best interest of the American people. It's pretending to be an agency responsive to the will of the people that is dedicated to benefiting the society and the economy, to controlling inflation, to providing jobs, and to stabilize the currency, and do all these good things for the economy for the American people, but it is not. It doesn't do those things. It's not what it really is formed to do. So I'm here to tell you in as few words as possible that the Federal Reserve System is not a government agency, as many of you already know. It looks like one. It's carefully crafted to look like one. But in reality, it is nothing but a cartel. It's no different than an oil cartel or a banana cartel. It just happens to be a banking cartel. The people that went to Jekyll Island, there were only 6 of them, represented, and this was an account that was published in the New York papers back in 1910, they represented the wealth that they personally held or held through the institutions which they controlled. And I'm glad you're all sitting down for this one. Approximately 1/4 of the wealth of the entire world. The Federal Reserve System is running the show. In other words, the banks are running the show. And the congressmen are like little puppets on strings, and they vote yeah or no. They don't care. It's not their money. So it all goes to the banks. So we have a system of the banks, for the banks, and by the banks. And people say, what is going on? Because they really think that the Federal Reserve is a government agency. And it doesn't make sense that way. And of course it doesn't make sense because that's not the way it is. Once you understand that the Federal Reserve is a banking cartel, then everything is cleared up. Of course the banks are the only ones that come out of this economic mess in the black because it's all rigged for them. And the bill is always passed on to the taxpayer or the consumer.
He's a very powerful man. I look forward to meeting and shaking his hand. I'm going to put the link to the rest of this in the description below. I suggest you listen to it. It's just the trailer, but it'll give you a good idea. So this little short video here to let you know what I'm doing. I'm taking the bull by the horns. I'm just one person, but I'm going to try to get a lot of you folks together to ride with me. And together, we're just like Paul Revere, we can spread the word that the British not only coming, but they're here, and they're here to take everything, to control everything that we've got. And that's been their objective since the Battle of Waterloo and before. Ramblin' Randy, and remember this, once a person who has been honestly mistaken all their life learns the truth, they either cease to be mistaken or they cease to be honest. And I ask you this question, what say you? Ramblin' Randy, we down.